Ain't it funny how life changes? You wake up, ain't nothing the same in life.
This week we switched it up a little bit. We had an awesome interview with Bill Hart the other day, and it needs to be seen. Bill Hart, if you don't know him, is one of the industry's best coaches. He coaches top producers around the nation, executives, regional leaders, and even CEOs. He's a speaker, an author, and he's even my coach, and right now he has some of the best intel and insight. Let me tell you why, and then we'll go to the interview. Imagine an independent third party talking with all the leaders in the industry right now. You know, the decision makers. On their coaching calls, they share their thoughts, concerns, and ideas, all with Bill Hart. So you can just imagine how clear of a picture Bill has after talking with all of them. See, most of us just get to see what's happening in our own little world. Bill gets to see it all. Okay, well, maybe not all, but a large part of it, and it's really given him probably the most well-rounded perspective of really anyone in the industry. His insight right now is incredibly valuable. Loan officers, branch managers, regionals, and CEO. This is an interview you don't want to miss. Realtors, sit back and get a glimpse into what's going on in the lending world. Side note, our resource is committed to continuing to bring you guys awesome content. Now, we will sprinkle in this new format moving forward. We've already invested into better equipment that will improve our audio and video quality for live streams. You'll see that in the near future, so bear with us today because the content is worth it. Here you go.
Every time I talk to you, like I hang up and I'm so excited. And I talk to my friends and peers in the industry about our calls, and it's like, man, talking to Bill is like talking to like the most well-rounded, knowledgeable individual, because you talk with top producers and CEOs, regionals, district managers, and you're kind of like Switzerland. Like everybody's giving you information because we're in such a crazy time right now.
Yeah.
So you kind of hear my story and you hear other stories, and so I always wonder, like, what is it like for Bill to lay his head down at night? Like, what is he thinking about? Because he has all this information coming in.
Right.
Brands, like, he's got to be like the most knowledgeable person right now. Probably the one guy that may know how to navigate this crazy industry. So talk to me about that. Am I right? Like, do you have are you the guru with all this knowledge?
Yeah, I'm going to avoid that term as much as I possibly can, but I do have a lot of I just call them points of light. You know, I view it as I don't know if I ever told you this in a coaching session, but I view it as like if you picture a light bulb on a desk and then you took a colander, you know, like that you would sift spaghetti through when you're cooking, right? Put it over it. I feel like all those little points of light that would shine on the ceiling are what I'd get from my 30 minutes with you, my 30 minutes with it, 3 days a week, Monday through Wednesday, I'm talking to 12 clients a day.
Wow.
And as you said, Ryan, these are not, 15 years ago, they were LOs that were doing 3 to 5 deals a month. Now I've got a lot of executive clients. It's just, I've been in the business a long time. So I get a lot of really interesting input, and I do feel like it's kind of like being Switzerland. Like, I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't have anything to sell you. I just take it in. So it's an interesting time, bud. It's a really interesting time.
That's interesting. Before you kind of get into like, I really want to hear your 30,000 foot level, but for originators that are watching, what he just said is super important. He doesn't have a dog in a fight. This isn't a guy saying, come over to my brand X. This is a guy that is getting tons of, like, raise the light, like you're talking about, tons of information. So what he's about to say is there's no agenda behind it. So I hope that everybody kind of leans in and listens, because all the other recruiters, all the other CEOs, executives, there's always an agenda behind it, right? Because it's like, well, this company sucks, you should come here. So here we go. I mean, this is really from a third party, no agenda behind it. Tell me about the industry right now, because it's insane. There's a lot of uncertainty. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a really exciting time, but you know me, that's how I'm wired. I view things, I think, a bit differently. I think it's easy to react to what's coming in the news, but I like to think that if I don't know if I've ever said this to you, I forget what we talk about in coaching sessions unless I'm looking at our notes, right? I mean, I know the broad strokes, but I don't know if I've ever told you this story. I posted recently on what I call your footing, right? And I think your footing, you have 3 choices in anything in life, whether it's your physical footing or in business. You can be on your heels, which is never good.
Right.
You can be flat-footed, which is where that expression came from, and that's not good, like don't get caught flat-footed. Or you can be on the balls of your feet. And I believe in a market like we're in right now, we've got to always find a way to be on the balls of your feet, Ryan, so that you're proactive, you're leaning into this market opportunity. But Yeah, man. I mean, look, there's contraction, there's adjustment. I think we're going through a very necessary adjustment in terms of that pricing and comp ratio. It's just, we're going to see loan originators, my prediction, not far down the road, earning less than they have been. But I think the opportunity is, years ago I did this blog post called Forks and Spatulas, and I think there was, when it's busy, when rates are low and the phone's ringing like crazy, man, everybody's got a fork.
Right.
But I also think that when a market shifts like this, there's an opportunity to pick up a spatula and say, I'm going to get more market share. I'm going to be more efficient than I've ever been. So that's what I see. But here's the other thing that's interesting. Like, you're not alone. I spoke yesterday with a guy that will remain nameless, but he's been around this game for a long time. He's been an EVP. He's definitely made over $1 million a year. And his conversation right now is, I'm getting back into production. I haven't been in production for 20 years, and I'm getting back in the game. So that's who you're going to compete with.
That was a regional leader or something?
He was more than a regional leader. He's a divisional, most recently a regional. And he just sees the handwriting on the wall. It's like, you know what? That mid layer, let's go ahead and call it overpaid, right position.
Yeah.
These aren't evil people. These aren't bad people. Nobody's taking advantage of anything. In the good times, that's what happens. And they go on, golfing junkets and president's clubs, and they get sunburned, and they get pictures with the lei around their neck holding the Mai Tai, right? I mean, it's what the industry does. But right now, it's not that season. It's not that season. So I'm just saying, I think there's a very cool opportunity. If you're listening to this or watching us right now, and you say, here's how this affects me, here's how I would ask you to internalize it. How are you showing up in the market? How can you double down on what you're currently doing and what you want to do to achieve your goals and objectives? Because whatever you were doing last year isn't going to be what you're going to be doing this year.
Right. Let me throw you two curveballs that I know it'll be softballs for a guy like you. But
nice.
I was asked yesterday by a regional peer. He said, "Hey Ryan, when do you think, because a lot of this is spawned by margin compression, right?
Yeah.
So when do you think that'll return?" And my first thought is, I'm not sure that it will.
Yeah.
And so he had said, well, Stratmore, and Garth, they had mentioned they thought maybe mid 2019, and that could be possible. But I don't know, like when other industries have faced similar type challenges, you haven't seen the margin come back. You've seen new players be able to thrive with thinner margins. So what do you feel? Is like, am I way off, or will it come back?
No, man, I agree with you. You're right, and it never goes back, right? You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Right. I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think it's the evolution of the industry. And holy cow, right? If we look at, 07, 08, and we're selling derivatives to Denmark, right? And you compare that and how that created the enormous pendulum swing. I just feel like we're at a point right now where, the term is popular, right sizing. I kind of feel like that's applicable to the mortgage space. And I don't mean in terms of people and the number of people. I mean just our structure. And if a big part of that is comp right now, you know what, man? So be it. So be it.
I feel like that more and more every day. And I think you were the first to use the term, and I'm using it a lot now, but there's a storm coming. It's here now.
Yep.
Storm subsides.
Yep.
It will look much different. And that's why I feel like margin compression is kind of here to stay, and the margins will stay thinner. And the people that are left will be the people that have figured out how to thrive in that world.
So here's what it is. And I know you called it out because I think you used this story again. It's the cow and the buffalo, right?
Yeah.
It's in the for those that haven't heard the story, the short version of this is in the plains of Colorado that abut Kansas, when those big storms come up out of the west and they move towards the east, the cows run away from the storm as much as cows can. They don't run very well, right? And they're kind of like us right now. They're a little bloated. It's been a pretty good season. Their tummies are full, all their tummies apparently, and they're running away from the storm. And a big, fast moving storm overtakes them, and you'll find their frozen carcasses on the frozen tundra.
Yeah.
The buffalo, picture that massive head, right? And they turn and they run into the storm, man. They run into it, and so they get through it faster. They come out the other side frozen, right? But they're alive. And this is a season to be a buffalo.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. The other question I was going to ask, you pretty much already answered it. When I talked to peers that tend to be older than me, they'd like to say, well, Ryan, I've been through this, I've been through down years, and we'll get through this, and we will get through this. But I think they miscategorize and almost demean what we're going against. I don't think this is a down year. This is an evolution. You said that earlier. We are evolving into what mortgage will look like in the future. And so it really rubs me the wrong way when that, 30-year vet's like, it's a down year, it'll be fine, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think, let's be honest, you don't necessarily know what we're going into, either do I.
Absolutely.
Going into it, let's just call it what it is. It's an evolution.
For sure. Yeah. And this is not a hunker down and let it pass moment. That's not what this is. Dude, I had another conversation with a guy today. I mean, I'm not going to go through the details, but here's what I see in a season like this, Ryan. It's a time for me I make myself more available to people that I think need a little counsel and a little perspective. And I don't charge for that stuff, right? I just talk to people, and this guy was hurting. It was like, man, I don't know what to do. It's like, dude, you got one thing to do. You've got to figure out how to produce revenue. And, you can only unscrew so many light bulbs before you're sitting in the dark, right? We have a lot of people cutting right now, and I get that. There are cuts to be made, no doubt. But at some point, you've got to figure out the part that you own is producing more revenue. And at the end of the day, for us in this business, here's what I would say to everybody on this call. I know you wanted to save this for the end, but I'm going to say it now. Start counting leads. Don't get frozen, pardon the relation to the earlier example, right? But don't get frozen in inactivity from all of this stuff coming at you. Just focus on one thing. Count leads. If you start counting more leads and doing what is necessary to create more leads, and by leads, I don't mean online necessarily, could be, but it could be picking up the phone, right? Calling your database. Have conversations, generate leads. That fixes everything. It fixes everything. Don't ever over intellectualize this. Default into being on the balls of your feet in motion, generating leads. Can I hear a hallelujah? Yeah,
that's why I'm so excited. I'm fortunate, like I said at the beginning, to coach with you. And you're coming to spend the day with my team, and
yes,
insane. And we're gonna dig into that stuff and
man,
talk about what it really means to run into that storm and what that looks like. So I'm super excited for that day that's coming up. I think
likewise,
August 10th. But that's what you get when you coach with Bill Hart. Anyways, a nice little plug for you.
Well, I'm looking forward to it too, man. It'll be fun to work with your team.
Well, and you've been so busy, man. Talk to me about the book. White Collar Warrior. I mean, you've been on the book tour, it sounds like, right?
Pretty much, man. It's a really fun time, honestly. This is 30 years of my life really poured into this book. And it is so edifying to be getting positive feedback about it, which I get daily. I did not realize how much I apparently need that. I thought I was a bigger man, right? But I feel like, it's you have a baby and it's like, do you think the baby's cute? That cute baby, right? That's kind of what it feels like. But no, man, it's great because the timing is actually perfect, and I would love to take credit for that. But I'm gonna look upward on that one because that I had nothing to do with the timing of it.
Perfect, man.
But truthfully, man, here's the deal. So in the book White Collar Warrior, just happen to have a copy there.
Yeah.
And a case behind me, by the way, if you need some extras. Also available on audio, just so that you know. Anyway, the message in the book is I had this very cool opportunity to interview Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, Force Recon Marines, MARSOC they call them now, and a Top Gun instructor. So these are our special forces, the best of the best in military. Ryan, I've done 30 podcasts, I'll bet, in the last 60 days. And everybody always asks the same question coming in, right? Where'd you come up with that idea? It doesn't seem like a natural fit. And while I'm not going to go into a bunch of detail there, it was the book Lone Survivor that did it for me, later made into a major motion picture with Mark Wahlberg. And it just hit me as a guy in the 99% that has never served our country in uniform. Their dedication, the way they engage and show up is it's unlike anything else I've ever seen. And I thought, man, as a coach, if I could bottle up just a little bit of that and bring it to my clients. So that's what the book is about, right? I took those interviews. I've looked at the people, the best of the best that I've coached and spent time with. And I've looked for the points where they intersect. And I'm telling you, bud, the topics are like training and discipline and fear, which in our world, of course, is call reluctance.
Right.
And planning, in the military, it's mission planning. For us, it's business planning. It's just, there are lesson after lesson after lesson that apply. And the timing for our industry, I hope this makes it out into the pharmaceutical industry and financial services. But for our industry right now, man, it's perfect. It's time to go to boot camp.
Yeah, you touched on something that I've thought a lot. A lot of the content that you'll release, and if you don't follow Bill, he releases bite-sized chunks all the time on Facebook and stuff. It's awesome stuff. Stuff that we release, our mutual friends, like Ken Perry or Dave Savage, a lot of it crosses over. It only gets purpose for real estate lending as it should, but car sales and pharmaceutical, a lot of it really crosses over.
For sure.
And people just think about that. Even the small business, my friends that own chiropractic shops, that all of it crosses over. And I think I don't think we missed the opportunity. It's just people should share that out with. It doesn't
absolutely
have to be with your realtor or lender friends. Small business entrepreneurs, man, it all crosses over. It's all
absolutely.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I don't want to give too much away of what we're going to talk about with our personal meeting with our team, but
yeah.
What would you, without giving away too many secrets that you're going to share with our team, what would you tell that originator right now that is super uneasy and rightfully so, right? Things are changing. Maybe they're seeing moves in their company. Maybe they're seeing, the term now M&A market, mergers and acquisitions. They've seen a lot of that.
Right.
They're wondering if their comp's going to be slashed. They're wondering if they have a job. What would you tune in and tell that guy or gal right now?
So the first thing I think I would tell them, and it sounds so trite and I sound like the guy with gray hair that's been in the business 30 years that apparently I am.
Right.
So I'm going to sound like that guy, but it's the grass is not greener someplace else. More often than not, it's greenest where you water it, right? That's a thing because it's true. And so I would just tell you, unless you have some enormous pain where the tipping point is absurd and I can't compete in jumbo in this market, in this area, and I've got to make a shift someplace else. Unless it's something really dramatic like that, I say hunker down, do what you do, and control what you can control, and keep yourself out of the drama. Honestly, I wouldn't read too much in the world of Housing Wire and Chrisman right now and just let that stuff get in your head. Here's the thing I know for sure. I coach a guy right now. I won't mention his name, but I coach a guy right now, and his whole thing is he knows he can get pulled off into the weeds. So his thing is right now, I prospect every day, get it done by noon. You know me and the whole by noon thing, right? And it's that's the part of my life I can control. So I'm on the phone 2 hours every day. I'm talking to realtors. I'm talking to my database. I am in touch with people, and we're having meaningful conversations about what they care about, which is buying and selling and investing in real estate. And as a result, he's killing it. He's setting records. I just spoke to a woman yesterday, 2 $12 million back-to-back months. 2, not a fluke, right? So there's business to be had. Don't buy into the as much as I say, yes, the storm is coming. It's a storm of, as you said, evolution. This is not doom and gloom. This is just different. Right. So show up differently. That would be my encouragement.
I'm glad you said that. We talked about that within our team too. It's I love to be aware just because that's how I'm wired. So I read Rob every day. I love the Christian Report. He's a great guy. And you're right. It does. You shouldn't be focused on that, especially an originator. Focus on what you can control.
Totally. That's
what we've done with our team. I'm proud to say, and I'm going to brag a little bit, but our volume's up in a year where the MBA says the volume's down 18%.
Absolutely.
We're 8 million above our record pace last year. We're pushing to do 300 million. I don't know if we'll hit it, together collectively.
Awesome. Yep.
And that's what you got to do, because no matter what happens, just like your friend that did back-to-back $12 million months, if your team and your L's are cranking, no matter what happens, there's always security in that. And you know what? Company X, Y, or Z may fold up, and if you're there, you're going to be able to go somewhere else. It's going to be fine.
Right.
All what you can control. I love what you said. 100% agree, man.
Cool.
Well, I'm trying to make these just super value packed and short.
Yep.
So I really appreciate your time, man. You were money. And tell everybody where they can find your books before we take off.
Yeah, man. So, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, it's not tough to find stuff these days. It does crack me up when somebody says something about White Collar Warrior, and then there's a comment below where can I find it? Really? Really? Yeah. So, we used to say wherever books are sold, that's not true, right? I'm a first-time author. That's just not the case. You're not going to walk into a physical bookstore and find it, but you can find it on Amazon, and you could have it right now on Audible, like right now. My voice talking to you, walking you through the book, man. Let's join me. Like, come on, what are you listening to?
It's probably my dad that asked that question, to be honest. It's like, Dad, right below it says add to cart, click that, Dad. That's where you get it.
Where can I find that book?
All right, man. You're going on a vacation, sounds like.
I am.
Fun. I love it. Thanks for taking time with us, man.
My pleasure, buddy.
Appreciate it. I hope to do this again soon.
I'll look forward to it. Look forward to spending some time with your team on August 10th.
Oh, I love it. Can't wait to see you, man. Have a good one.
All right, buddy. See you, bud.